Cass told Sengoku what he knew and saw. Sengoku frowned when he heard what Cass said. Not only didn't kill Doflamingo, but threw it to his subordinates instead. What's the situation? Regarding Lin Wuya's operation, Sengoku is really incomprehensible. After all, Lin Wuya is not a soft-hearted person, and it is logically impossible to put too much framing brother. Garp, Zephyr, Crane, Sakazuki, Kuzan, and Peluzalino also frowned. Obviously, they did not expect this situation. Lin Wuya didn't even kill Doflamingo. And if you don't kill it, don't kill it. He also gave it to the people of Doflamingo. Does this mean to let them heal Doflamingo? This makes them even more incomprehensible. This seems a bit inconsistent with Lin Wuya's style. It seems that the situation is beyond our expectations. He sat there frowning and said, Crane, what do you think of this matter? Sengoku looked at Crane, and Sengoku couldn't understand the situation that Lin Wuya did not kill Doflamingo. But Suru is their Marine's chief advisor and thinks deeper than them in many things, so Sengoku thinks Suru might be able to see something. What can I see? He shook his head. That old gentleman's hand is indeed a little cloudless. Hearing that, Sengoku's brow furrowed even tighter. Unknown to him, he had to turn his gaze to the phone worm connected to Cass in front of him. He turned to Cass at the side of the worm and said, This way, you will pay close attention to Doflamingo's situation during this period of time. I think that old gentleman might want to torture Doflamingo for a few more days before getting rid of him. Okay. Marshal Sengoku. After finishing the conversation with Cass, Sengoku leaned back in the chair, frowning. Shouldn't. No matter how you think about it, it is impossible for Lin Wuya not to kill Doflamingo. After all, the opponent killed 40,000 pirates on the Grand Line. Dressrosa. After Toripal, Pika and other members of the Don Quixote family took Doflamingo to heal his injuries, Enel asked Lin Wuya, Teacher, what to do with that guy next? It's still the same as today, beat him once a day, don't beat him to death, just beat him if he can't stand up. Lin Wuya smiled. Understand. Enel nodded. The thought of having sandbags for himself to hit every day, Enel felt a burst of excitement. On the other side, Toripal, Pika and others, after carrying Doflamingo away from Lin Wuya, came to a room and put Doflamingo on the bed. Seeing Doflamingo, who was wounded and unconscious, Toripal's crown suddenly bit his teeth. Damn it! Damn it! You beat Dover so badly. What shall we do now? Pika asked towards Toripal. Wait until Dover wakes up. Toripal looked at Dover who was lying on the boat unconscious, and said. Half an hour later, Doflamingo woke up. Dover, you are awake. Toripal, Pika and others walked over. What about the old guy? Doflamingo asked Toripal. He's still here, it seems that he doesn't plan to leave, judging by the situation. Toripal said so. What? Don't plan to leave? Hearing what Toripal said, Doflamingo was stunned. They all beat him like this. It stands to reason that the anger should also be let out. Don't plan to go. What does this mean? Doflamingo's mentality exploded. If the old guy stays here, he still has a good life? The next day, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. Doflamingo was called out by Lin Wuya again. Doflamingo has a dumbfounded look. He doesn't understand what Lin Wuya is trying to do with him this time. Looking at the ambitious Doflamingo, Lin Wuya smiled and said, Don't be nervous, it's just a routine daily exercise. Drilling? Doflamingo frowned, still waiting for him to speak. A flash of lightning swept out, and then struck his chest violently. Doflamingo was hit hard, and then flew upside down like a kite and hit the square. Struggling to get up from the ground, Doflamingo looked at Enel who was walking step by step, his face suddenly changed. If he didn't understand what Lin Wuya's daily routine meant before. So at this moment, Doflamingo understood. Lin Wuya wants Enel to deal with him like yesterday. Enel walked towards Doflamingo warmly and smiled at him. Don't be nervous. Just like yesterday, you will suffer a little bit of flesh and blood, and you won't die. Doflamingo's mouth Kakuzu twitched. Just the same as yesterday? Bitterness of skin and flesh? That can only be called the suffering of flesh and blood? Doflamingo is going crazy. Enel didn't care how Doflamingo thought about it, and the whole person turned into a bolt of lightning and approached Doflamingo away. So, the next scene can be imagined. Just like yesterday, Doflamingo was beaten by Enel as a sandbag. An hour later, Enel came back, carrying Doflamingo like a dead dog in his hand. Being caught by Enel, Doflamingo's desire to die is gone. Thinking that he would be beaten like this by Enel every day, Doflamingo couldn't help crying. He might as well kill him directly. After Enel returned with Doflamingo, he threw it to Pika. Lin Wuya smiled at Pika and said, "Go and heal your young master." Seeing Lin Wuya's harmless smile, Pika's heart was convulsed. This old guy is the devil. Why? Don't heal your young master. If you don't heal your injuries, your young master will be gone. Lin Wuya smiled as he looked at the Pika who was playing at the corner of his mouth. He naturally wouldn't let Doflamingo die like this, because if he died, the days to come would be boring. Dressrosa is so big, I guess it will take some time to play here all over. These days, if Doflamingo is missing as a playmate, it would be boring. After Pika heard Lin Wuya's words, wherever she dared to stay here, she rushed out holding Dover. After Pika took Doflamingo away, Lin Wuya paced out of the hall. Let's go. Walk around Dressrosa with my teacher. Yes, teacher. Rayleigh, Enel and Robin nodded their heads, and then accompanied Lin Wuya to stroll around Dressrosa. On the other side, after Pika left, he returned to the room with Dover. The members of the Don Quixote family such as Toripal, Pika, Sugar, etc. looked at Dover who was beaten with a swollen nose and a coma, and couldn't help but feel distressed. Dover is too pitiful. Tenten passed. In the following days, Lin Wuya also stayed in Dressrosa. Go to Dressrosa in your free time, so leisurely. But Lin Wuya is leisurely, but Doflamingo is uncomfortable, and will be practiced by Enel almost every day. And every time I drilled, I was beaten with a bruised nose and a swollen face. One day or two, Doflamingo may be able to bear it. But it lasted for dozens of days, and Doflamingo couldn't stand it. This will continue for a while, and Doflamingo feels that he will be beaten and collapsed. Doflamingo has no other ideas. He only hopes that Lin Wuya can leave Dressrosa as soon as possible, so that he can get rid of the opponent's clutches. With this mind in mind, Doflamingo was waiting for Tenten in torment. But after waiting for nearly a month without seeing Lin Wuya leave, Doflamingo felt sorry. It's been a month, why isn't this old guy still leaving? He won't plan to stay here all the time, will he? Afterwards, Doflamingo waited another month. However, I still didn't see Lin Wuya have any intention to leave. Doflamingo was desperate. For Doflamingo's careful thoughts, Lin Wuya naturally sees it thoroughly, and because of this, he has not left. No matter what, this guy has to be subdued and obedient before leaving. After all, because of the reward order issued by Doflamingo in the underground world, it attracted 20,000 killers to take his life. Naturally, he can't be let go easily. Of course, Lin Wuya chose to stay in Dressrosa all the time, except that he wanted to teach Doflamingo more. There is another reason, and that is Hawkeye. After all, he promised Hawkeye to teach him for half a year. Naturally, we can't break our promise. And pointing swordsmanship is impossible on a ship. Even if his ship is much larger than in the past, the space is still limited. But here is different. As a country of New World, Dressrosa has a very wide area and a large area. It is undoubtedly a good place to point the eagle eye. Therefore, Lin Wuya intends to stay in Dressrosa for half a year, and then leave here after mentoring Hawkeye. In the square, Lin Wuya held Mingyue and Eagle Eyes to compare. Swords and swords shot continuously from the square. So, after about half an hour, the two stopped the confrontation. Putting Mingyue away, Lin Wuya smiled at the opposite eagle eye. Yes, it's a lot better than last time. It's all the old gentleman who gave your advice, otherwise I won't make progress so fast. Hawkeye put He Dao Yi behind him and said with a smile. Speaking of the progress made in the past 2 months, Hawkeye can be said to be quite satisfied, not only breaking through what was difficult to break in the past. Orange has also improved a lot on this basis. Even Hawkeye did not expect that he had improved so much in the past 2 months. I'm just playing an auxiliary role, the point is that you have high savvy. Lin Wuya said lightly. It is correct to say that, but Hawkeye knows that if it weren't for Lin Wuya's guidance, he might have stayed at this level in his entire life and could no longer move forward. ZZ. At this time, a burst of lightning pierced the sky. Lin Wuya and Yingyan turned around, and then they saw a lightning bolt approaching them, and finally stopped in front of them. The thunder and lightning condensed and turned into Enel himself, carrying Doflamingo like a dead dog in his hand. Enel carried Doflamingo and grinned at Lin Wuya. Teacher, today's practice is over. Give this guy to his subordinates, Lin Wuya said. Good. Enel nodded, then found Doflamingo's subordinates and threw them at them. Go and heal him. Seeing the unconscious Dover, Toripal and others trembled in their hearts. Dover was beaten like this again. In beating brother, the time passed by Tenten. In the next few days, Lin Wuya was still the same as before, and he was fine to stroll around Dressrosa and guide Hawkeye. As for the training of Doflamingo, it is still up to Enel to do it. Doflamingo's whole person is going crazy. When is this day ahead? In addition to Doflamingo, Naval Headquarters is also quite uncomfortable. Since learning that Lin Wuya did not kill Doflamingo, Sengoku has been waiting. He thought that maybe Lin Wuya wanted to torture Doflamingo for some time before he could solve him. But after waiting for several months, there was no news of Doflamingo being killed. Sengoku is also a little desperate. At the same time, he couldn't understand why Lin Wuya would not kill Doflamingo. 40,000 pirates were all killed by the slaughter, showing mercy to Doflamingo's subordinates? No matter how you think about it, I can't figure it out. It's totally unreasonable. Time is like water, and half a year will soon be over. After half a year of guidance, Hawkeye's swordsmanship has also reached an unprecedented height, and that kind of height has never been expected by Hawkeye in the past. Now, it has become a reality under the guidance of Lin Wuya. Hawkeye is excited, and at the same time I am very grateful to Lin Wuya. He knew that if it hadn't been for Lin Wuya's guidance in the past 6 months, he would never have reached this height. Although he and Lin Wuya did not have the name of a master or apprentice, Lin Wuya never agreed to accept him as a disciple. But in Yingyan's mind, Lin Wuya is already his teacher. In front of the palace, Lin Wuya stood with his hands behind, and Yingyan stood in front of him with a black sword on his back. Half a year is here, just leave by yourself. In the years to come, which step you can achieve in the practice of swordsmanship is up to you. Lin Wuya said slowly. In the past 6 months, he basically taught Hawkeye what he should teach, and the next road will have to be left by Hawkeye alone. Puff. Eagle Eye knelt down on both knees toward Lin Wuya. Thank you for your careful guidance in the past 6 months. Although I don't have the name of a master and apprentice, I still allow me to call you teacher. Seeing Hawkeye kneeling towards Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Enel and Robin were moved. Before they left, Hawkeye actually knelt towards the teacher. This man has such a sentimental side. Lin Wuya didn't expect that Hawkeye would kneel down at him, and even called him a teacher. Although it shows that Lin Wuya did not agree to be his disciple, but for the past 6 months, Lin Wuya has been showing some affection for Yingyan. Although he does not have the name of mentor and apprentice, Lin Wuya already regards Eagle Eye and Rayleigh as his disciples in his heart. Because of this, Lin Wuya's old eyes became wet when he heard the teacher shout from the Eagle Eye. Immediately afterwards, he turned around and turned his back to Hawkeye. Let's go. I have to wait for the teacher to relax. Even Lin Wuya didn't notice. Inadvertently, facing Hawkeye, he already thought he was a teacher. But Lin Wuya didn't find it, but Hawkeye did. The body shook immediately. You must know that in the past 6 months, Lin Wuya never thought that his teacher called himself when he talked to him, but always called himself, I. This is the first time that Lin Wuya used the word, teacher, to talk to him. Is this acquiescence that he is his disciple? Thinking of this, Hawkeye's heart was also moved. Eagle Eye is not a cold-blooded person. Just because he is obsessed with the practice of kendo, it makes him look cold-blooded. In fact, like everyone else, he also has a perceptual side. Therefore, when Lin Wuya spit out the word to be a teacher, Hawkeye's heart trembled. Then he stood up and made another finger facing Lin Wuya, then he turned and left. This is not a parting ceremony, but an etiquette for the teacher. Turning and leaving, the Eagle Eye finally disappeared at the end of the palace. It wasn't until Hawkeye completely left that Lin Wuya turned around. Immediately afterwards, he raised his head and looked towards the end of the palace. There, you can faintly see the back of Hawkeye leaving. Dressed in black, a black knife knight, the world's largest swordsman. Hawkeye Dracul Mahawk, port of Dressrosa. Hawkeye boarded his boat. This boat was not the one half a year ago, but during the period when he came to Dressrosa, Hawkeye asked Dressrosa's boat builder to make another one. It was exactly the same as the ship he used to. Standing on the boat, Hawkeye turned and looked at Dressrosa behind him. As for his gaze, he looked at the palace at the top. Teacher. You can rest assured to play in the world. If one day you run into trouble, even if you are an enemy of the whole world, I will make a bloody road for you. After speaking, Hawkeye pulled out the black knife knight behind him. Then he rowed his own boat and left here. This is the end of the half-year trip. This is how Yingyan and Lin Wuya are separated. However, despite the differences, a deep bond has been established between Lin Wuya and Yingyan. In Yingyan's mind, Lin Wuya is his teacher. In Lin Wuya's mind, Yingyan is his disciple. The 26th disciple. If Sengoku knew about it, I'm afraid he would cry. The two people who were originally not related were connected because of a duel. And also became a master and apprentice. Teacher, shall we stay here next or? In front of the palace, Rayleigh looked at Lin Wuya and asked. The main purpose of being a teacher in the past half year is to point Hawkeye. Now that the half-year time limit has come, and Hawkeye has left, there is no need to stay here anymore. Go and pack things. Wait a minute to leave. Lin Wuya put his hands behind him and said lightly. Good. Rayleigh nodded, and then went to pack his bags. After explaining Rayleigh, Lin Wuya said to Enel again. Enel, you go call Doflamingo and his subordinates. Yes. Teacher. Enel nodded, then turned into a flash of lightning and left. Soon, the bags were packed by Rayleigh. At the same time, Enel also brought Doflamingo and his subordinates, namely Toripel, Pika and other members of the Don Quixote family. After being continuously practiced by Enel for half a year, Doflamingo has a deep fear of Lin Wuya in his heart. So after being brought in front of Enel, Doflamingo's legs were shaking. I want you to come here this time because I want to tell you that the old man is leaving here. Standing in front of Doflamingo, Lin Wuya said lightly. Hearing what Lin Wuya said, the Don Quixote family members including Doflamingo were all startled suddenly, and then ecstatic. Is this old guy finally leaving? The most exciting one is undoubtedly Doflamingo. At this moment, there was a burst of joy in his heart. For this day, he waited for half a year. It's finally time to wait. The ghost knows how he came here in the past 6 months. It was really a life like hell. Now that Lin Wuya said he was leaving, Doflamingo cried in excitement. Does Doflamingo want Lin Wuya to go? That is naturally hope. It can even be said that it is more hopeful than anyone else. We must know that in the past 6 months, he has been immersed in endless torture every day. Basically every day I wake up and be taken by Enel. A while of practice. And it's not just a simple drill, it's the kind of drill that makes him unable to stand up. That really beat him to death. As long as you don't die, continue to fight, leaving him a breath. Who can bear this kind of torture? Not to mention that Doflamingo also suffered for half a year. More than 180 days, it was a life of blood and tears. And now, when I heard Lin Wuya was leaving, the chief culprit who caused him torment was to leave. How not excited Doflamingo, how not excited. Even inside, Doflamingo started singing and dancing. The evil god finally sent away this demon. Lin Wuya can naturally feel the joy in Doflamingo's heart. Even if Doflamingo doesn't show anything, he can still feel it. After all, for the past 6 months, he basically let Enel torment Doflamingo every day. This guy knows that he is leaving, he will definitely be so excited. After all, he is gone, the other party doesn't need to be drilled by Enel. He can continue to be the king of Dressrosa, the king of the underground world. But Lin Wuya's purpose for looking for Doflamingo this time was not simply to tell him that he was leaving, but to remind him of something. Standing in front of Doflamingo, Lin Wuya said faintly, the old man is ready to leave. But don't think that if the old man leaves, you will be able to do whatever you want and behave like you did in the past. In the past 6 months, I have heard from the people of Dressrosa about what you have done in the past few years, including those powerful means. So after the old man leaves, if you are still like in the past, then the next time the old man comes here, it will not simply let my disciple practice you. Lin Wuya's words made Doflamingo's body tremble, who was originally excited. There was a deep fear in his eyes. Immediately afterwards, he nodded towards Lin Wuya. Yes, yes. I will never be the same again. I hope you can do what you said today. If you don't do it, your fate will be the same as the killer of the 20,000 underground world who went to the Grand Line a year ago. As soon as he said this, Doflamingo's heart trembled even more. He nodded to Lin Wuya again and again. I will definitely do it. Where can Doflamingo dare not do it? If he doesn't do it, then his life will be gone. My own life in reform. Doflamingo still knows how to do this kind of multiple choice questions. Okay. The old man will wait and see. After saying this, Lin Wuya left here, along with Rayleigh, Enel and Robin. After Lin Wuya left, Doflamingo sat down on the ground. Cold sweat broke out on his back. This is scared. Dover. Are we really going to do what the old guy said? Toripel asked Doflamingo who was sitting on the ground. If you want me to die, don't do what he says. Doflamingo gritted his teeth. He naturally didn't want to do that, but he couldn't help it. Because if you don't do what Lin Wuya said, then death is waiting for him. Does Doflamingo cherish his life? That's naturally a pity. Even more than anyone else's life. Naturally he did not dare to defy Lin Wuya's orders. Standing up from the ground, Doflamingo said to Toripal and the others, "Go to the treasury to allocate 2 billion Baileys and distribute them to the residents of Dressrosa. In addition, buy a batch of grain from the outside world and distribute it to them." "Yes. Let's do it now." Toripal, Pika and others nodded, and then left here. Soon, 2 billion Baileys were mobilized from the treasury. Immediately afterwards, Toripal and Pika and other Don Quixote family members each took a team of people to each city. Standing on the street, Toripal faced these people and said, "Considering that everyone's life has been difficult these years, Dover allocated some money from the treasury to distribute it to everyone. 100,000 Baileys per person. Come and get them all." Hearing what Toripal said, the citizens on the street were stunned. "What's the situation? Doflamingo send them money." Don't blame them for such a reaction. After all, Doflamingo has been using power to suppress them in the past, and a little resistance will cause death. Now they are competing to send money to them, and it is still 100,000 Baileys per person. It's a lie. These citizens even wondered if the scene before them was a dream, so they pinched themselves a few times. There is pain. This is not a dream. Doflamingo really wants to send them money. But even if they knew it was not a dream, they didn't dare to come forward and get the money, because they didn't know if it was Doflamingo's trick. In case Doflamingo is playing any tricks, then they will suffer. After all, they are all ordinary people, how can they resist Doflamingo? Seeing no movement from these citizens, Toripal immediately begged. Dover really wants to send you money, and there is absolutely no evil. However, his words didn't work. Those citizens still stood there and didn't mean to come to collect money. Seeing this, Toripal gritted his teeth and knelt directly. "Please come and get the money. Dover is really not malicious." Seeing Toripal who knelt down and begged them for money, these citizens were all stunned. "Damn it. Ask us to get the money, isn't it? Is this really the Don Quixote family they feared in the past?" Originally, these citizens were still wondering if Doflamingo was asking for any tricks, but after seeing Toripal kneeling down, they didn't think so. After all, if Doflamingo really wants any tricks, there is absolutely no need to do this. Just do it directly. There was no need for Toripal to kneel down. Perhaps, Doflamingo really wants to send them money. This Doflamingo is not really going to send us money. It seems to be true, otherwise Toripal doesn't need to kneel down. Indeed, we are just ordinary people. If Doflamingo wants to do to us, there is no need to spend so much time and effort, just do it. Then are we going to get it? Of course I'm going. 100,000 Baileys are a lot of money. If we have 100,000 Baileys, our family will have all the living expenses for a year. Go. Get the money. After some discussion, these citizens also dispelled their worries and stepped forward one after another. Toripal saw that these people had finally moved, and he immediately smiled, and then stood up and asked his men to distribute the money to them. 100,000 Baileys for everyone. These residents were very excited when they received the money. They have been immersed in Doflamingo's authority for a long time. This is the first time Doflamingo has given them money. Does Doflamingo plan to reform? At this time, Toripal faced them and said, "This money is only part of Dover for everyone. Dover has already sent someone to the outside world to buy a batch of food. It will be there in 3 days if nothing unexpected happens. At that time, everyone can also come to get food." As soon as these words came out, these people were shocked. Not only give them money, but also give them food. Is this Doflamingo showing kindness? In addition, I apologize to you for all that Dover has done to everyone in the past. I shouldn't do that to you. From now on, Dover will be a qualified king and make everyone's life better and better. Hearing Toripal's words, these people were stunned. Be a qualified king? Doflamingo? Did they hear it wrong? You know, Doflamingo has always ruled Dressrosa with absolute violence, and now he claims to be a qualified king, and it makes their lives better and better. Isn't it? Is this the Doflamingo they know? Toripal saw the doubts in the hearts of these citizens, and immediately said, "You heard right. Dover is no longer the same Dover in the past. In the future, he will be a good king, and I hope everyone will support it regardless of the past. Dover." These people were stunned by what Toripal said. What's the situation? Everyone, you look at me, I look at you. They all have a dumb expression on their faces. Is Doflamingo really getting better? Port of Dressrosa. Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Enel, Robin and their apprentices stood on the boat. Seeing the cadres of the Don Quixote family such as Toripel who gave out money on the street, Rayleigh smiled and said, Doflamingo is so fast. Does he dare to be unhappy? Knowing this is tied to his life. Lin Wuya chuckled lightly. But then again, sir. Why don't you directly deprive Doflamingo of the throne and let King Liku take over? After all, even if Doflamingo is no longer like the past, it can't be compared to King Liku. Rayleigh said the doubt in his heart. He knows Lin Wuya's mind. Lin Wuya made Doflamingo reform and change the status quo of Dressrosa. But in Rayleigh's view, it is not better to deprive him of the throne and let King Liku take the post. After all, King Liku was originally the king of Dressrosa, and is said to be a good king. You don't know anything about this, Rayleigh. Lin Wuya smiled and said, more than 800 years ago, the Don Quixote family, not the Liku family, ruled Dressrosa. Because the Don Quixote family later moved to the Holy Land and gave up the throne, the Liku family became the new royal family of Dressrosa. So there is no need to let King Liku be the one. Furthermore, if Doflamingo is deprived of the throne, that guy will definitely go to other places. If this happens, it will undoubtedly have an impact on other places. So instead of doing this, let Doflamingo continue to be the king of this country, as long as he is no longer the way he used to be. Is that so? Rayleigh nodded clearly. It turned out that the teacher made this idea. Indeed, if one of King Doflamingo is taken away, then he will definitely not stay in Dressrosa anymore. In this way, he will definitely go elsewhere. Although it will not destroy the balance of New World, the impact is still there. After all, Doflamingo is not weak. Except for the 4 emperors of New World, Doflamingo's handsome Don Quixote family is the strongest force in New World. Such a force will have a great impact wherever it goes. So like what Lin Wuya said, let him continue to be the king of Dressrosa and encircle him in this place. Not necessarily a good thing. As long as it is no longer what it used to be, it won't make an impact. With these thoughts flashing in his mind, Rayleigh admired Lin Wuya even more. The teacher is the teacher. Sure enough, there are more places to think about than he wants to be unique. Go on. Rayleigh, okay. Rayleigh nodded, then walked to the rudder. The ship started and left the port of Dressrosa. On the way, Rayleigh asked Lin Wuya, teacher, where are we going to the next stop? Go to Shanks. Lin Wuya said the destination of the next stop. Go to the redhead? A bright color flashed in Rayleigh's eyes. Because he knows that Hongfa is also a teacher's disciple just like him. Is the teacher going to find the redhead directly this time? Robin and Enel did the same, with a flash of excitement in their eyes. They also know that Shanks is the teacher's disciple. They're fellow brothers. To be precise, it should be the brother of Rayleigh, the brother of both of them. Thinking of meeting senior brother Shanks soon, both of them have a look of anticipation in their eyes. Lin Wuya chose to meet Shanks, naturally because he had spent half a year in Dressrosa. And it has been a whole year since he wrote to those boys. This year, I only saw one disciple Tiger. The other disciples are probably waiting anxiously. If they don't look for them again, I'm afraid those guys will be mad. Therefore, Lin Wuya chose Shanks when he left Dressrosa's next stop on this trip. Let's meet Shanks first. As for the other disciples, go back. Anyway, when he came out of this trip, he would basically go everywhere, and he would see them one by one. It's just a matter of time. The ship left the port of Dressrosa, drifted away, and soon disappeared at the end of the sea. Dressrosa, Marine Branch. Rear Admiral Cass is sitting in the office dealing with things. Bang. At this time, the office door was pushed open. A soldier rushed in. What's wrong? Cass put down the things in his hands and asked the soldier. Something big happened to Dressrosa, Cass Rear Admiral. The soldier said, something big happened? Cass frowned, and then he seemed to think of something, and his face was suddenly covered with joy. Immediately afterwards, he asked the soldier, could it be that Doflamingo was born and killed by that old gentleman? No. The soldier shook his head. No? What's the matter then? Cass frowned and asked. It's Doflamingo. The members of his Donji Riverda family are sending money to the people of Dressrosa in the city. Moreover, there is still a lot of money distributed, 100,000 baileys per person. Hearing what the soldier said, Cass got up directly from his chair, his face was full of incredulity. What? Doflamingo asks his staff to send money to the people. What's the situation? I don't know either. The soldier shook his head. Anyway, the citizens are receiving the money, and the issuer is indeed from the Don Quixote family, that's right. Are they still paying out? Cass asked the soldier. Yes. The soldier nodded. Take me over. Good. Leaving the office, under the leadership of this soldier, Cass quickly came to the place where the Donji Rivered family paid the money. In the eyes, there is a long flow of people. These people are all citizens of Dressrosa. At the end of the line, there are big boxes, all of which are money. At this moment, in front of the box, a man is giving money to these citizens. This man, Cass, also knew him. Pika, the top cadre of the Don Quixote family. It's actually sending money. Cass was startled. This incident had a greater impact on him than Doflamingo's killing. Because Doflamingo has always been strong and domineering in the past, it would be good for Dressrosa's citizens not to be strong enough to suppress them, even if they were kind to them. Therefore, Cass was dumbfounded when he saw Pika send money to these citizens. What is his situation? Is Doflamingo reformed, or is it asking for some means? After Pika sent out the money in a box, he quickly opened another box. Similarly, everything in it is money. After this box was sent, another box was opened to send money. It didn't stop until all these citizens received the money. Immediately afterwards, he said to these people, in 3 days, the food will arrive. By then, everyone can still receive it here. In addition, if you have difficulties in life in the future, you can tell us that we will take care of everyone. These words made Cass look dumbfounded. Even if you send out money, you still have to send out food? And if you have difficulties in the future, you can get help from Don Quixote family. Damn it. What is Doflamingo doing? Is this going to be a good king? Doflamingo is a good king. Is this him? Lie. It's not to blame Cass for being so shocked. After all, Doflamingo's methods are very cruel, and he is also very ambitious. Now, such a cruel and ambitious guy is going to be a good king. Can Cass not be shocked? If this kind of thing were put in the past, he would not believe it. No. I have to tell this to the head office. Leaving here, Cass returned to the office, then picked up the phone worm and contacted the headquarters. Naval Headquarters, Marineford, Marshal's office. Sengoku is having a meeting with Crane, Garp, Zephyr and others. Bluebrew. At this moment, the phone worm on the table rang. Sengoku picked up the phone worm, and then Cass' voice came from the other end. Report to the Marshal. This is Rear Admiral from the Dressrosa branch. I have something important to report to you. Major things? Sengoku furrowed his brows, followed by a vain smile on his face. Could it be? Like Cass, Sengoku was the first to think of the killing of Doflamingo. After all, apart from this, what else is worth reporting from Cass? Immediately, he asked Cass at the end of the phone bug, could it be that Doflamingo was killed? No. Cass shook his head. This matter is indeed about Doflamingo, but it's not that Doflamingo was killed by that old gentleman. It's what Doflamingo did in Dressrosa. Hearing that, Sengoku's face couldn't help but change, and hurriedly asked, could it be that Doflamingo did something terrible in Dressrosa? In the past, there were some negative news about Doflamingo from time to time. So this time, Sengoku instinctively felt that Doflamingo did something bad again. No, no. Cass on the phone bug shook his head and said, Doflamingo didn't do anything harmful this time. He is doing good deeds. Previously in the city, Doflamingo's subordinates, Pika and others, were giving out money to the people of Dressrosa. Not only that, but also preparing to distribute food to the people. In addition, I told the people that if you have any difficulties, you can tell them, and they will take care of them one by one. As soon as this word came out, the whole meeting room fell silent. Everyone, including Sengoku, had a shocked expression. Doflamingo distributes money to citizens in the city? And also preparing to distribute food? We will help if there are any difficulties. What's the situation? Doflamingo is good. For a while, many of the marine executives present were stunned. In their impression, Doflamingo is a very cruel guy, and the king of Dressrosa over the past few years is also a bad deed Madara Madara. The method is extremely omnipotent. It not only manages the smuggling of many arms and weapons, but also provides slaves for celestial dragons. Among them, the population auction site of Sabo Archipelago is one of Doflamingo's companies. Doflamingo, who is so cruel, brutal, and the king of the underground world, has actually done a good thing. And it's not an ordinary good thing. It is to give money to the people of Dressrosa, distribute food, and also give help. Can this not shock them? Even Garp and Kizaru, who had always been indifferent to, were shocked. Is this still Doflamingo? It seems that some do not believe what Cass said. Sengoku asked Cass, What you just said is true. Doflamingo really distributes money in the city, and is planning to distribute food, and promises the citizens to help them if it is difficult? It's true. Cass' affirmative voice rang from the phone worm. I saw it with my own eyes that the cadres of the Don Quixote family were paying the people of Dressrosa on the street, and I heard those words with my own ears. Absolutely can't be wrong. Hearing what Cass said, the horror on Sengoku's face couldn't help but deepen. The same is true for Crane and Garp, and they are shocked. Since Cass saw it with his own eyes and heard it with his own ears, then things are basically true. Doflamingo really arranged for his subordinates to distribute money to the people. What they just don't understand is, what does Doflamingo do? Send money? Give food again? Is that guy planning to be a good king? When this thought came to the minds of Sengoku and others, Kakuzu twitched their mouths. Doflamingo is a good king? They didn't dare to think about this picture at all, because the guy was cruel and violent to the extreme. When they were shocked, Cass's voice rang from the phone worm again. In addition, the soldier just now told me that Toripal, a member of the Don Quixote family, told the people that Doflamingo will be a good king from now on. As soon as this word came out, the whole meeting room fell silent. Everyone, including Sengoku, dropped their jaws in shock. Is this him? Really intend to be a good king? At this moment, all the marine executives present were shocked. It was originally just a conjecture of them, but it turned out to be true. Until the end of the conversation with Cass, Sengoku and Suru, Garp, Zephyr and others were still immersed in this huge shock. It's really because this thing is too shocking. Doflamingo, who has multiple identities as a pirate, the king of the underground world, and the leader of the Don Quixote family, turned out to be a good king. Kuzan. Ah la la. This is really unbelievable. Perusalino. It's terrible. Doflamingo has to do it, Kun. Sakazuki. Doflamingo doesn't play any tricks anymore, right? Means? Sengoku, Garp, Crane, Zephyr and others have also thought about this question. But what means do we need to distribute money and food to the people? This is not there at all. After the shock, Sengoku looked at Crane. Crane. What do you think of Doflamingo's operation? Sengoku was confused by Doflamingo's hand, but Crane is their marine's chief advisor. Maybe Crane can see something. I don't understand either. He shook his head. No matter which way you look at it, you can't see what Doflamingo wants to do with this hand. Perhaps as Cass said, Doflamingo intends to be a good king. He said so, but Crane himself didn't believe what he said. Doflamingo is a good king? This is stranger than the sow going up the tree. After all, Doflamingo's personality and means of doing things have determined that it will not do this kind of thing. But now it happens to be done. This makes Crane wonder. This is completely inconsistent with Doflamingo's style. Do you think that old gentleman made Doflamingo do this? At this time, Zephyr, who had not spoken, spoke up. When he said this, everyone suddenly stopped. It seems indeed possible. After all, it is absolutely impossible for Doflamingo to do such a thing. Therefore, there is only one possibility, that is, what external factors make Doflamingo do this. And for such external factors, they only thought of one possibility. That is Lin Wuya. After all, Lin Wuya is in Dressrosa, and it is said that he has stayed in Dressrosa for the past 6 months and has not left. It's not really because of that old man. Sengoku said so. Went to Dressrosa, not only did not kill Doflamingo, but also let him go. Does this old man intend to become a monk who will save the world? Lin Wuya didn't know what the headquarters said about him. At this moment, he was on the way to Shanks by boat. For Shanks, Lin Wuya also likes it inwardly. When he was in the mountains, Shanks kept following behind him all the time. Although it sometimes annoys him, but most of the time it is quite obedient. This is why Lin Wuya left Dressrosa and chose to be the first to meet Shanks. It has been more than 10 years since Shanks went down the mountain. Back then, the Maudo boy should be middle-aged now. Thinking of this, Lin Wuya also had a smile on his face. Taste. The ship swiftly sailed towards Shanks. New World, an isolated island. This is the base camp of the 4 emperors' red-haired Shanks. As a special one of the 4 emperors, Shanks is not as powerful as Whitebeard, Kaido, and Andy, with a large crew. Shanks took the elite route, although there are not many crew members, but each one is a leader. Among them, the deputy captain Beckman is even more like admiral. There are also many subordinates such as Shinso Usopp and Lakilu, the city's first-class masters. The depths of the island. Shanks was sitting there, drinking. At this moment, he doesn't have the style of the 4 emperors in the past, and some are just a look of eagerness. Looking at the white sea in the distance, Shanks complained, "Teacher, when are you coming to me?" Shanks has stayed here since receiving Lin Wuya's letter a year ago, waiting for Lin Wuya to come. That would be really hard to wait. But now that I have waited for a full year, I haven't seen Lin Wuya's shadow. Shanks is also crazy. Didn't the teacher say that he would come to them? Why didn't you come after waiting for a year? Boss. Don't do this, your teacher will definitely come. And I have a strong hunch that he will come today. With a big chicken leg in his hand, Rikilu looked at Shanks, who was eager to see through, and started talking. Today. How could it be possible? Shanks looked disappointed. I haven't been here for a year, so how come today? Oh. Forget it. Drink some wine and vent. Picking up the hip flask next to him, Shanks took a sip in his mouth. However, the wine has not yet entered the throat. Shanks frowned. He saw a boat appearing on the sea level, and it was driving towards him. Isn't it a teacher? Shanks couldn't help but think so. But soon he shook his head. In the past, every time he saw a ship appearing in the nearby waters, he thought it would be a teacher, but it turned out to be the same. It shouldn't be possible to come to this one. Grumbling. Drinking heavily, Shanks didn't go to see the ship anymore. But Shanks didn't care. It doesn't mean that others didn't care. Rikilu kept staring at the ship. The previous remarks weren't to comfort Shanks, but he really felt that the old gentleman, Shanks' teacher, would come. With this intuition, Rikilu stared at the ship steadily. Immediately afterwards, his eyes gradually became dull, especially when the face of an old gentleman appeared in his field of vision. Rikilu was stunned. The drumstick in his hand also fell to the ground. That's it. The face exactly the same as on the bounty order. That's the boss's teacher. Realizing this, Rikilu patted Shanks on the shoulder, who was drinking. Boss. Why? Don't disturb me drinking. Shanks gave Lackey Lu an uncomfortable look. However, Rikilu was cared about by Shanks' Byakugan, and instead pointed his finger at the ship on the sea level. Yes, it's your teacher. Huh? Shanks frowned, then stopped drinking and looked at the ship on the sea level. When a familiar figure entered the red-haired field of vision, his whole body froze. The hip flask in his hand also fell to the ground. Immediately afterwards, he stood up directly. The voice of excitement resounded throughout the island. F*K. Teacher. The voice was so loud that he was so scared that Ben was sitting there with his eyes closed and rested. Beckman, Usopp and others trembled. They looked at Shanks and wanted to complain, but the excitement of Shanks made them frown. What's wrong with the boss? Following Shanks's gaze, they saw the shadow of a ship, and then their expressions gradually became astonished. Like Shanks, Ben Beckman, Usopp and others also stood up. Looking at the old figure standing on the boat, Ben Beckman said with a surprised look, "Hey, Shanks, shouldn't that?" Shanks nodded excitedly. "Yes. It's the teacher, haha. The teacher is finally here." Shanks at the moment there is still a bit of 4 emperors, and the whole person is excited like a child. What a teacher. The teacher finally came to him. Brothers. Meet the teacher with me. Yes, boss. The originally peaceful island rioted at this moment. Everyone followed Shanks and went straight to the coast. Shanks meets Lin Wuya. They are not the same. After all, Lin Wuya is their boss's teacher. The boss's teacher, they naturally want to meet. Furthermore, is because of everything Lin Wuya has done in the past. Grand Line kills special kills, Sabo the Archipelago kills celestial dragons, and battles with 1 enemy and 3 naval headquarters with 3 admiral. Either one of these is a sensation in the world. Let alone 3. Naturally, they all want to see the protagonist of these events, that is, Lin Wuya, the teacher of their boss. It seems Shanks has discovered that you are coming, teacher. Standing on the boat, Rayleigh looked at the rioting island and suddenly smiled. I'm so close, if I didn't find this, he should have been beaten as a teacher. Lin Wuya said with a smile. The boat gradually approached the island and finally stopped on the coast. Almost as soon as the ship stopped, Shanks and his men also appeared here. Looking at Lin Wuya standing on the boat, Shanks' eyes suddenly showed a strong expression of excitement. Immediately afterwards, he rushed over. Teacher, you are finally here. Stepping off the boat, Lin Wuya looked at the excited Shanks and couldn't help but smiled. Do you want to see you as a teacher? Don't think about it. Shanks grinned and said, Disciple, I look forward to seeing you, teacher, day and night. Is he the boss's teacher? Behind Shanks, Ben Beckman, Lakilu, and Usopp also looked at Lin Wuya. Not as terrible as they thought, and some are just an approachable color. Looks like an ordinary old gentleman. Unbelievable, such an approachable old gentleman actually slaughtered in the Grand Line. The naval headquarters 3 Admiral all fled, and was rewarded by Marine with 10 billion Baileys. Teacher. How long are you going to stay with me this time? Shanks asked Lin Wuya. This issue is also what Shanks is most concerned about. After all, it was hard to meet Lin Wuya. Naturally, he hopes Lin Wuya can stay here for a while. It depends on the situation. If you have good food and beautiful scenery here, you might stay as a teacher for a while. Lin Wuya smiled, then glanced at the island behind Shanks. It's just that you don't seem to have anything here, just an island. Even if the teacher wants to stay with you for a while, your conditions are not allowed. No. Teacher. Upon hearing Lin Wuya say this, Shanks hurriedly rejected. My site is huge, this is only part of it. Tomorrow I will take the teacher to another place, and I promise you will be satisfied with the teacher. Okay. Then you will take it as a teacher around tomorrow. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. Okay. Shanks grinned, and immediately said to Lin Wuya, Teacher. It's windy here, let me take you inside. Yeah. Lin Wuya nodded, and then under the leadership of Shanks walked behind the island and came to the place where Shanks was stationed by the pirate group. Very rudimentary environment. It looked empty, except for a few big trees, and there were almost no other decorations. If the other pirates of New World saw this scene, they would be surprised. Tang 4 Emperor's red-haired Shanks camped on such a simple island. Brother Shanks is too crude here too. Robin looked around, and there was a surprise in his eyes that was hard to conceal. She thought the place where Shanks was located would be more luxurious. After all, he was the 4 Emperors of New World, and his identity was placed there. But I didn't expect it to be so simple. This environment is far worse than the Doflamingo they had been looking for before. It can even be said to be incomparable. Haha, used to it. Shanks laughed and said, I don't like that kind of comfortable environment. In contrast, this kind of camping life is more suitable for me. And my subordinates also like this kind of life. Along the way, Shanks got acquainted with Robin and Enel. Knowing that both of them are disciples of the teacher just like him. Brothers in the same school. As for Rayleigh, let alone Shanks, the former deputy captain, knew each other early in the morning. Teacher. Sit down. Shanks vacated a position and motioned Lin Wuya to sit down. Lin Wuya nodded, and then sat down, and then he glanced at the men of Shanks around him. Then he turned to Shanks Island. It seems that after going down the mountain these years, you guys have been pretty good too. Along the way, Lin Wuya alone met hundreds of people, but in fact Lin Wuya knew that the number of people in the entire Red Hair Pirates was definitely more than that. It is estimated that there are thousands of people. The most important thing is that the strength of these thousands of people is not weak, and this can be felt only by the breath. Teacher, you laughed. These can't be in your eyes, teacher. Shanks smiled, not at all feeling how good he was. It can only be said so. That's right, teacher, I heard Buggy say that you have stayed at Koshiro for a year after going down the mountain. Shanks asked Lin Wuya. Yeah. Lin Wuya nodded. The phone worm you gave me died at the beginning. Only the phone worm given by Koshiro is still alive, so after going down the mountain, he contacted him as a teacher. That's it. Shanks was stunned. No wonder the teacher never contacted them after going down the mountain. It turned out that all the phone bugs they gave were dead. 2. Although the telephone worm is a communication creature with strong vitality, if it is not fed, it will still die. In addition, the teacher has spent many years on the mountain, it is normal that he will die. You just said that you heard what Buggy said, did you find Buggy? Lin Wuya asked Shanks. Yeah. Shanks nodded. After reading the news about you, teacher in the newspaper a year ago, I set off for Alabasta. After learning that you had left Alabasta, I caught up with you. I just thought that Buggy was in East Blue, so I went to him by the way, and then Buggy informed me of these things. It was also through Buggy that I learned that sir, you have been staying with Koshiro after going down the mountain. Otherwise, I will definitely go to the Ishin Dojo in Koshiro to find you the teacher as soon as possible. Is that so? Lin Wuya nodded clearly. At this time, Shanks said to Lin Wuya, Teacher, you have been with Koshiro for so long. This time, stay with me for a year. How can a bowl of water be leveled? Hearing that, Lin Wuya couldn't laugh or cry. He was also curious about how Shanks asked him about Koshiro. It turned out to be the idea. With a smile, Lin Wuya looked at Shanks and said, You kid is very slippery, but don't worry. I won't leave as a teacher in a short time. Hey. Okay. Shanks grinned. Although Lin Wuya did not promise him to stay here for a year, since he said that he would not leave for a short time, he would definitely stay for a while. For Shanks, it is already very satisfying. After all, there are still many seniors who have never seen a teacher. That night, Lin Wuya lived here in Shanks. But it's not the island where Shanks camped, but somewhere else. One of Shanks' domains, a kingdom named Simon. Shanks, the pirate who stands at the top of New World, basically has many forces and countries attached to him. Among them, the kingdom of Simon is one of them. Its territory is about the same size as Dressrosa, making it a relatively prosperous country. The environment here is also very comfortable. Even if it is not comparable to some rich countries, it is at least much better than the island where Shanks had camped before. As for Shanks, I am also very concerned about where Lin Wuya lives, and directly arranged Lin Wuya in the most luxurious hotel in the Simon Kingdom. In front of the hotel room, Shanks said to Lin Wuya, "Teacher, you will stay here for the time being tonight. If you need anything, just talk to my subordinates." Okay. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. After Shanks left, Lin Wuya entered the room. The layout of the room is quite luxurious, the area is also large, and the air is very fresh. Looking down from the rooftop, you can see the night of the entire Simon Kingdom. This kid is really. Lin Wuya smiled and shook his head. Although I don't know how much it costs to stay in a hotel like this one night, I think it won't be less than 100,000 Baileys. Even millions of Baileys are possible, while staying in this hotel at Lin Wuya. At this moment, Sangoku, far away in Marineford, also received the news that Lin Wuya had gone to Hongfa. Sitting in his office, Sangoku leaned back on the chair after hanging up the phone worm. Go to the redhead. That should be to meet the redhead. Sangoku knew that Shanks was Lin Wuya's disciple. So when he learned from the generals of New World that Lin Wuya had gone to the redhead, he didn't think there was anything. After all, the red hair is Lin Wuya's disciple. It is normal for the teacher to see the disciple. I hope this trip in New World, the old man won't make any big movements again. Sangoku doesn't ask for anything else, just asks Lin Wuya to just go to the outside world. In this case, it would have little effect on their marine. Just as Crane said, if people want to see the outside world, do they still have to worry about it? Maybe it's because the hotel is more comfortable. This sleep Lin Wuya directly slept until 9 o'clock the next morning. After walking out of the room, Lin Wuya saw Shanks waiting in the lobby of the hotel. Looking at the situation, it is obvious that it has been waiting for a long time. Teacher. You are awake. After Shanks saw Lin Wuya walk out of the room, he smiled and greeted him. Yeah. Just woke up. Lin Wuya said lightly, then looked around. After not seeing the three figures of Rayleigh, Enel and Robin, he asked Shanks, where are Rayleigh and others? They are competing with my crew outside. Shanks laughed. Are you in a contest? Then I'll go take a look. A hint of interest flashed in his eyes, and Lin Wuya immediately let Shanks walk over with him. Lin Wuya is still very interested in the strength of Shanks' crew. Like Ben Beckman, Usopp, Lackey Road, Lin Wuya should be more interested in the three. Although everyone who has seen pirates knows, the three of them are the top 3 cadres of red hair pirates. But I don't know how strong he is, and in the original work, the 3 of them did not show their own strength. The only one who showed strength was Ben Beckman. At the top of the battle, he pointed a gun at Kizaru, so that Kizaru raised his hand on the spot. Of course, it was just this shot. Although Kizaru was frightened, it was still unknown how strong his true strength was. This time, it happened through Rayleigh and the others to learn from each other to see the strength of these 3 people. When he arrived at the place of the competition, Lin Wuya saw Rayleigh and others who were fighting. Rayleigh and Ben Beckman are discussing each other. Enel is Usopp fighting together. As for Robin's opponent, Rikilu. Puff. Bang. At this moment, the battle is quite fierce. Especially the clash between Ben, Beckman and Rayleigh is even more brilliant. Under the first match, Ben Beckman basically did not fall into a disadvantage, and he was on par with Rayleigh. Rayleigh's strength Lin Wuya is clear, and he has nothing to do with Marine Admiral Kizaru. Ben Beckman was able to play against Rayleigh in the beginning, which is enough to see his strength. Comparable to Marine Admiral. As for Usopp and Lakilu, although they are not as good as Ben Beckman, the 3 of them are also very strong. Among them, Usopp relied on his superb spear skills to make Enel bigger, if not for his Thunderfruit's speed and powerful vision. I was hit by Usopp. Although after adapting to Usopp's spear skills, Enel gradually gained the upper hand and suppressed Usopp. But Usopp's powerful spear skills still made Lin Wuya's eyes shine. It deserves to be the first Shinso player of Red Hair Pirates, and it really deserves its reputation. As for Rikilu's strength, he is also not weak. Although he usually gnaws with a chicken leg, when he fights, he is like a different person. The fat body was wrapped in dark armed color, matched with powerful physical skills, and it was only slightly suppressed against Robin. Robin's strength is weaker than Admiral, and Rikilu is only slightly inferior to Robin, and his strength can also be seen. Not as good as Admiral, but better than Marine Vice Admiral. The battle soon ended. Although it is not a fight with fate, it is just a simple discussion. But through the battle, Lin Wuya can roughly see the strength of the three highest cadres of Red Hair Pirates, Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lackey Road. The level of Ben Beckman Admiral. As the original book said, it is infinitely close to Shanks, Admiral's strength. As for Usopp and Lackey Road, although the strength has not reached the Admiral level, but it also has the level of Quasi-Admiral, even stronger a little bit. The overall combat power of the three is stronger than both the three general stars under the Ant and the three plagues under the Kaido. Of course, Ben Beckman does not approach Shanks infinitely, just relative to Shanks in the original book. Shanks in this life are much stronger than in the original works. During the few years with him on the mountain, whether it was seen, heard, armed, and Conquerors all reached a very high level. Perhaps Conquerors is not much stronger than the original, because Shanks Conquerors is number 1 in the original. But Seeing and Hearing Color and Armed Color are much stronger than in the original book. Among them, the Seeing and Hearing Color has reached the level that can predict the future, and the Armed Color is also close to the ceiling level, almost reaching the level of Garp. In those years on the mountain, Lin Wuya did not help Shanks improve his swordsmanship, other aspects helped him improve a lot. Except for Conqueror's Haki, there are physical skills. It is no exaggeration to say that if the fire is full, Shanks can now rub a kainu on the ground. You heard me right. Just rub it on the ground. After all, in the original work, Shanks is very strong. I dare not say that he can absolutely suppress a kainu, but he is definitely not weaker than a kainu. Naturally, all aspects of this life are far stronger than Shanks in the original work. There is no problem with rubbing a kainu on the ground. Teacher. At this time, the three of Rayleigh, Enel and Robin who had ended the battle noticed Lin Wuya who was standing by and watching the battle, and immediately walked over. It's over? Lin Wuya asked with a smile. Yeah. Rayleigh smiled and nodded. Ben Beckman and they have to compete with us, there is no way, we can only go. But the three of them are really strong, one-on-one won't have much advantage. What a monster. However, Rayleigh did not know that Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lakilu also regarded Rayleigh, Enel, and Robin as monsters. Because they hadn't kept it before, and the fire was full. However, even so, it is still suppressed. This is simply a monster of the same level as their boss. For the three disciples of Lin Wuya, Ben Beckman was completely convinced, and they were as powerful as the rumors said. Hey. Beckman, Rakiro, do we want to fight the boss's teacher? At this time, Usopp looked at Ben Beckman and Lackey Lu and asked. He had this idea, naturally because of some deeds about Lin Wuya reported in the newspaper. And what shocked him was the fact that Sabodi Archipelago fought 1 enemy 3 against Naval Headquarters 3 Admiral. Admiral of Headquarters, that can be comparable to the 4 Emperors. How strong is this to be 1 enemy 3 and not fall below? Therefore, Usopp also has an instinct to challenge Lin Wuya. Of course, it wasn't just one-on-one, but the three of them challenged Lin Wuya together. If you are one-on-one, I am afraid that you will be killed in seconds before you make a shot. Ben Beckman and Lakilu didn't have this idea, but when Usopp said so, the two of them were also interested. Immediately, Ben Beckman grinned. You can try it. After speaking, the three of them walked towards Lin Wuya. Around, the members of Red Hair Pirates watched the actions of Deputy Captain Ben Beckman, Lakilu and Usopp. Suddenly a touch of awe was lifted in their eyes. Hey. The Deputy Captain, Lakilu, Usopp, and others are not thinking. In their shocked eyes, Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lackey Lu walked to Lin Wuya. Immediately afterwards, Ben Beckman opened his mouth to Lin Wuya. Old sir, the three of us want to challenge you, I don't know if we can fight. Wow. As soon as these words came out, these members of the surrounding Red Hair Pirates directly exploded the nest. Everyone looked at Ben Beckman, Rikilu, and Usopp in shock. The deputy captain, they turned out to be the teacher who really wanted to challenge the boss. After the shock, ecstasy followed. Because they all know the strength of Lin Wuya, that is, 1 enemy 3, Naval Headquarters 3 Admiral cannot let go of the existence. However, they have only seen these in the newspapers and have not seen them with their own eyes. Now naturally all of them are interested. They wanted to see if the boss's teacher, Lin Wuya, was really as strong as the newspaper said, and what it would be like to fight with the 3 top cadres of Red Hair Pirates. Do Beckman, Usopp, and Rakiro want to challenge the teacher? Shanks also provoked a touch of interest in his eyes. He also didn't expect that Beckman and Rayleigh would challenge the teacher again after they had discussed with Rayleigh and the others. These 3 guys are really high-spirited. But after thinking about it, Shanks didn't surprise him Beckman challenged the teacher. Because Beckman, Rakiro, and Usopp are themselves militants. Don't look at how they look like good people on weekdays, but when they really get into a fight, they are all more ruthless than one. Naturally, after hearing about the strength of the teacher, it is normal to want to challenge the teacher. Hongfa thinks that if he changes to Beckman, he will probably do the same thing as Beckman. In front of Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Enel, and Robin looked at the Beckman who challenged the teacher, and immediately laughed. These 3 guys are really militants one by one. Actually want to challenge the teacher. Want to challenge me? Lin Wuya looked at Beckman who was saying this with a smile. He didn't expect that these 3 guys actually wanted to challenge him. Is it because of what I did at Sabo Archipelago? Lin Wuya thought to himself that this is probably the only thing left. After all, with 1 enemy and 3 battles, the naval headquarters and the 3 admiral defeated them and fled. This is indeed a shocking point. Yeah. Beckman nodded unceasingly. I have heard about the strength of the old man a long time ago, so I want to take this opportunity to challenge. You are not an opponent of the old man, Lin Wuya smiled. It's not that he laughed at Beckman, it's the truth. Beckman is strong, but in the end he is only at admiral's level, and how his opponent is. I know this naturally. Beckman nodded and said, so this time, it's not me alone challenging you, it's the 3 of us. Our 3 highest cadres at Red Hair Pirates are one for you, old gentleman. To bully the less, Beckman was disdainful in the past. But facing Lin Wuya, he knew he had to do this. Because the opponent can be 1 enemy 3 or 3 admiral of headquarters. Naturally, facing Lin Wuya, Beckman would not be so arrogant that he would be able to fight Lin Wuya on his own. Are you 3 against me? Lin Wuya smiled. If it's just Beckman alone, Lin Wuya is naturally uninterested. After all, his strength is too strong, even to kill Beckman in seconds. But Beckman adds Usopp and Lackey Road, that's different. The 3 highest cadres of Red Hair Pirates made Lin Wuya a little bit interested. Since the 3 of you are challenging the old man, come on. With a flick of his sleeves, Lin Wuya walked to the center of the square. Seeing Lin Wuya accepted their challenge, Beckman, Usopp, and Lackey Lu looked happy, and started gearing up in their hearts. Then the 3 of them walked over and surrounded Lin Wuya in a double-teaming situation. Usopp, you consume it remotely. I and Rakiro are in close combat. Beckman said to Usopp, understood. Usopp nodded, then quickly backed away. Huh. The spear behind him was pulled out by Usopp. The bullet is loaded. Immediately afterwards, the dark armament color poured into the spear, enveloping the bullet. At the same time, seeing and hearing color was also turned on by Usopp. Like a big net, it covers the entire square. Nice combination. Seeing a moment, Beckman arranged his tactics. Lin Wuya also missed a touch of appreciation in his eyes. Usopp is consumed remotely with a gun. Beckman and Lakilu chose to fight close to each other. I have to say that this tactic is quite clever, and it is also the one that is most likely to pose a threat to him. For ordinary people, even Admiral, I am afraid they will be consumed alive. This book Beckman deserves to be the person with the highest IQ of Red Hair Pirates. Go. Lackey Road. Good. Boom. Boom. The 2 hit it off and rushed straight to Lin Wuya. At the same time, Usopp also shot. Pull the trigger. Seeing and hearing the color locked, he shot Lin Wuya with 1 shot. Lin Wuya smiled faintly as he felt the attack of Beckman, Rakiro, and Usopp. Shave. With a soft groan, Lin Wuya's figure disappeared in front of the 3 of them. Disappeared? Beckman and Rakiro frowned. Usopp frowned, too, but as Shinso's hand, he was hitting remotely. So at the moment when Lin Wuya disappeared, Usopp started to see and hear. Found it. The mouth of the gun was turned, and then the spear was pointed in another direction. A shot was fired. This whole set of movements is quite fast, almost completed in a few tenths of a second. The people around didn't even react. Usopp's offense is complete. Brush. At this time, Lin Wuya's figure also appeared there. As soon as he appeared, Lin Wuya saw a bullet coming head-on. You can also see the rich armament Hawkeye on it. Hawkeye is out. This Usopp can actually do this step, no wonder it can become one of the top 3 cadres of Red Hair Pirates. It's really amazing. Not only that, Lin Wuya also felt the power of Usopp's knowledge. So what he used before was Marine 6 Styles shave. The moving speed can be said to be quite fast. However, Usopp can not only perceive his actions with sight, hearing and color, but also successfully lock the position where he will appear in the next instant and give the gun. It is enough to see how strong Usopp's knowledge is. Even if it hasn't reached the point where it can predict the future, it's definitely close to that step. Boom. The bullet hit Lin Wuya directly. Hit. Usopp smiled with joy. However, in the next instant, he didn't, but he wrinkled. So he discovered that the bullet had passed through Lin Wuya's body. That is afterimage. Usopp's pupils shrank, and at the same time he was stunned. Can this be avoided? You know, he also locked Lin Wuya's position in the previous moment, and shot in advance. In that case, no one should avoid it. However, Lin Wuya avoided it, and avoided it perfectly. What kind of reaction power is this? However, as Shinso's player, Usopp had a very good mentality. He was only slightly shocked and calmed down again. Immediately. Puff. Boom. The spear is in hand. Usopp used his experience and color to constantly lock Lin Wuya's position and suppressed intensive firepower. However, his offense did not have the expected effect. Every bullet was avoided by Lin Wuya. Rikilu. You can't let Usopp fight alone, let's join in too. Ben Beckman headed towards Reiki Road. Okay. Rikilu nodded, and then wrapped his arms around his fists. The same is true for Ben Beckman, with armed color covering the whole body. Then together with Rikilu, he launched a fierce attack on Lin Wuya. The battle was directly pushed to a fever pitch in an instant. Faced with Lin Wuya, Ben Beckman, Rikilu, and Usopp are all on fire. Bang. Bang. Gunshots, melee sounds. From the entire square, the members of the Red Hair Pirates around Red Hair Pirates were full of enthusiasm. Bang. Puff. On the square, Ben Beckman and Usopp fought close combat around Lin Wuya. As for Usopp, as a long-range favorite, it uses firepower to suppress it. It can be seen that the three of them often fight like this. This can be seen from the cooperation between each other. Quite a tacit understanding. It can be said to be drip-proof. The deputy captain, Usopp, and Lackey Road are offensively fierce. Maybe you can win if you continue like this. Around, the members of the Red Hair Pirates who were watching the game looked at the full-fire Ben Beckman, Usopp and Rikilu, and couldn't help but say. However, this is just their idea, Shanks doesn't think so. As a disciple, Shanks knows how strong Lin Wuya is. That is the power that makes him unable to raise any hope. At the beginning, every time he competed with Lin Wuya on the mountain, he was rubbed against the ground. Although Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Rikilu are not at a disadvantage at the moment, he knows that it's just because the teacher hasn't used the real ability. Otherwise, the situation would not be like this. Bang. Puff. Ben Beckman and Rikilu were very fierce, but after a period of time, the two of them began to be uncomfortable. They found that no matter how they launched their offensive, Lin Wuya could defend perfectly, even without chaos. Ben Beckman felt this, and Rikilu felt the same. Because of this, they were even more shocked. After all, Usopp has been doing long-range attacks. And they know Usopp's spear skills, even if it is called the world's #1 Shinso hand, it is not exaggerated. Even an ant 100 meters away, Usopp can accurately lock and hit. Anyone facing Usopp will be cautious. Not to mention, there are him and Rikilu. Under the siege of such close combat and long-range firepower, Lin Wuya was able to defend so easily. This shocked them. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Unconsciously, Ben Beckman, Rikilu, and Usopp have been attacking Lin Wuya for half an hour. Gradually, the members of Red Hair Pirates who said that Ben Beckman might win have also discovered something wrong. For half an hour, the deputy captain, Rikilu, and Usopp didn't even hurt Lin Wuya at all. No, don't say it hurts, he didn't even make it back. Perceiving this, they should have been dumbfounded. This is too incredible. Their three highest cadres, Red Hair Pirates, did their best to shake Lin Wuya. The teacher's strength is too terrifying. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Bang. The attack failed again. Ben Beckman stopped and said to Lin Wuya, "Old sir, you also made one move anyway. Keep fighting like this, how long does it have to fight? For people of their level, it's okay to fight for a few days or nights. But the point is, it's not necessary. After all, they only wanted to learn about Lin Wuya's strength this time. If Lin Wuya had been defensive, they would feel uncomfortable. If I shoot, the battle will be over," Lin Wuya said with a smile. It's not that Lin Wuya exaggerated himself, but the truth. After all, he is a gravity fruit capable person, and he has also awakened gravity fruit. And Ben Beckman, Rikilu, and Usopp are not demon fruit power. Naturally, if he activates the fruit ability, the situation will instantly fall to him. I don't believe it. Ben Beckman shook his head. After all, they are the 3 highest cadres of red hair pirates. Even if they are not Lin Wuya's opponents, Ben Beckman thinks it is impossible to lose instantly. Since you don't believe it, let you see it. The voice falls. Lin Wuya's eyes condensed. Boom. Immediately afterwards, a mountain-like gravity directly fell on Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lucky Lu. Boom. Affected by this gravity, Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lucky Lu sank suddenly. The ground under my feet is also beginning to crack inch by inch. What is this? The pupils of the 3 of them shrank. Even Ben Beckman with a high IQ doesn't understand how his body can be so heavy. It's like carrying a big mountain on your back. When the 3 of them were shocked by their own situation, Lin Wuya's voice rang in vain from their ears. One trick. Don't wait for the 2 of them to react. A majestic force fell on their chests. Bang. Bang. Ben Beckman and Lucky Road flew directly upside down. Standing in the distance, Usopp looked at the flying out of Ben Beckman and Lucky Lu. His face suddenly changed. Just about to act, a figure appeared in front of him. Immediately afterwards, a huge fist rapidly enlarged from his eyes and hit his chest heavily. Bang. Usopp was struck by lightning, and then just like Ben Beckman and Lucky Lu, he flew out directly. The breeze blew across the square, rolling up puffs of smoke. On the square, Lin stood without end. As for Ben Beckman, Lucky Road, and Usopp, they lie around Lin Wuya. Around. The members of the Red Hair Pirates who were onlookers looked at the 3 Ben Beckman lying on the ground, and they were all stunned. One trick. Just one trick. The 3 highest cadres of their Red Hair Pirates were defeated. And it still flew. My goodness. The teacher, the boss, is too strong. Some people even wondered if all this in front of them was an illusion, and rubbed their eyes vigorously. However, nothing has changed in the scene. Deputy Captain Ben Beckman, top cadre Usopp, top cadre Lucky Lu. The 3 strongest under the red hair of the boss, all lie on the ground. Shocked. But more is unbelievable. With just one punch, the deputy captain, Usopp and Rikilu were defeated. Can't believe it, it's really unbelievable. This is too strong, too outrageous, many people exclaimed over there. I thought that the deputy captain Ben Beckman, Lucky Lu, and Usopp could hold on for at least a while. Unexpectedly, they would lose as soon as Lin Wuya shot. And it was a fiasco without any suspense. Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lucky Lu climbed up from the ground. The faces of the 3 people were shrouded in horror. One trick. Just one trick. They actually lost. And it was a frustration like a ruin. No matter how calm their mood is, it is quite a blow. This is really shocking. As the top 3 officers of Red Hair Pirates, Ben Beckman is the deputy captain. The 3 of them didn't even take Lin Wuya's move. Although the entire battle lasted for half an hour, they all knew that Lin Wuya was passively defensive during that half an hour and didn't make a move. The only one shot was the previous punch. However, this was the only shot, the only punch. But the 3 of them had no strength to fight back. Just imagine. If Lin Wuya shot at the beginning, what would the situation be like? Undoubtedly, when they meet each other, they are defeated. 1 minute. No. They even lost in a few seconds. Thinking of this, the mentality of the 3 of them collapsed. Except for Shanks, the 3 strongest in 4 Emperor's Red Hair Pirates, in the hands of Lin Wuya, they couldn't even hold on for a few seconds. Looking at the Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lucky Lu who had a broken face, Lin Wuya smiled and said, I'm right, if I shoot, the battle will be over. It's because I'm too self-conscious. I thought I could fight the old gentleman. I didn't expect you to lose as soon as you shot. Ben Beckman sighed. Regarding Lin Wuya's strength, Ben Beckman was completely convinced. In this way, This challenge finally ended with the fiasco of Ben, Beckman, Rakilu, and Usopp. And through this challenge, Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lakilu also thoroughly learned the strength of Lin Wuya. Not a strong word can describe it. It's not even like the realm that humans can reach. It's too powerful. That is the strength that they can't even hold a little hope in their hearts. After the challenge, Lin Wuya let Shanks walk around here with him. It's by the way to see the disciples. Lin Wuya's real purpose is to see the colorful world outside. Shanks here is only the second stop on his journey to New World. In the future, he will go to other areas of New World to see. People like Four Emperors Wan Guo, Kaido S. Wanokuni, Lin Wuya will also go. After all, as the Four Emperors of the New World, their territories have to wander around. A little bit of time has passed, and it has been half a year since Lin Wuya came to Shanks without knowing it. In half a year, Lin Wuya basically visited Shanks' territory. Don't look at the deserted place where Shanks' pirate group camped, but there are many beautiful places in the territory. Thanks to these places, Lin Wuya can stay comfortably for half a year. If not, it is estimated that Lin Wuya wants to leave after staying for a month. In the past 6 months, Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lakilu often came to Lin Wuya. Of course, it's not a challenge. Instead, ask for advice. Basically, as long as Lin Wuya has time, the three of them will come to Lin Wuya. Even if it is only an hour of consultation every day, but if things go on like this for 6 months, the strength of the three of them has improved a lot. Everyone's strength is about 30% stronger than when he challenged Lin Wuya 6 months ago. Regardless of the fact that this 30% is not a lot, the increase in strength for the powerhouses of the level of Ben Beckman, Usopp, and Lackey Road is already quite astonishing. You know, if it weren't for Lin Wuya's guidance, this 30% increase would take the three of them 2, 3 years or even longer to achieve. As for Lin Wuya, after staying at Shanks for half a year, he is also ready to leave. On the coast, Shanks turned towards Lin Wuya and said, "Teacher, are you leaving now?" It can be seen that Shanks is a little bit reluctant to leave Lin Wuya. Although Lin Wuya has stayed here for a long time, a full half a year. But for Shanks, it was like a flick of a finger. Flies too fast. I've stayed with you for half a year, and it's time to leave. If you continue to stay, those guys will probably come out to be teachers. Lin Wuya smiled. Okay, Shanks sighed. Although reluctant to give up, but thinking that there are still many brothers who have not seen the teacher, Shanks did not insist on keeping Lin Wuya. Boarding the boat, Lin Wuya said towards Shanks, "If I have time, I will come to you again." Good. Shanks smiled and nodded. Retracting his gaze, Lin Wuya looked at Rayleigh. "Go on the boat, Rayleigh." "Yes, teacher." Rayleigh nodded, and then started the boat. Following the sea level, the ship drifted away, and soon disappeared from Shanks's sight. It wasn't until the ship completely disappeared that Shanks took his gaze back, and then went to the minions behind him. "Little ones. It's a banquet. Boss, didn't you just reluctant to bear it? Why are you having a banquet again?" Rachel asked. Of course Gong sent the teacher away. Shanks laughed, and then returned to the station with his men. After a while, the banquet started. Shanks took the wine and drank, but his eyes were on the sea level. "Teacher, go and see the outside world as much as you want. If there is a need for a disciple one day, even if it is a mountain of fire, the disciple will go for you." On the sea level, the ship sailed quickly. Rayleigh walked over and asked Lin Wuya, "Where are we going to the next stop, teacher?" "Go to Dorag." Lin Wuya said lightly. The reason for choosing Dorag as the next stop is not to say that Dorag is relatively close. It was Lin Wuya's thought that in the original work, Sabo was rescued by Dorag and later became the second in command of the Revolutionary Army. Although I don't know if this life will change Sabo's experience because of his appearance. If there is no change, just drop by Sabo. After all, I haven't seen Sabo in a few years. When he left East Blue, Lin Wuya spent 6 months at Sky Island, the Fishmen Island, Dressrosa and Shanks. The calculation time is just 2 years. Sabo is about the same age as Ace. When he left East Blue, he was only 11 years old. Counting the time, the little guy should be 13 years old now. Standing on the boat, these thoughts flashed in Lin Wuya's mind, and ripples appeared in his heart. If Sabo is really with Dorag, then this time I was able to see him. By the way, the golden fruit obtained from Tezzolo a year ago can also be given to Sabo. After all, the 3 brothers, Ace will get Mera Mera fruit after going to sea, and Luffy already has rubber fruit. Only Sabo hasn't had a fruit yet. although eating devil fruit will be cursed by the sea and lose the ability to swim. But in general, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. And to become a top powerhouse, devil fruit can be said to be the best way. Such as Marine San Admiral, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, is not demon fruit power. Among them, Akainu is a lava fruit capable person, Kizaru is a sparkling fruit capable person, and Aokiji is a frozen fruit capable person. These three fruits are all Logia. If they don't eat devil fruit, Lin Wuya doesn't think they can have the current combat power. After all, not everyone can be like Garp, Shanks, and Rayleigh without eating devil fruit to become a first-class master. Sabo does have this aptitude, but it will take a long time to reach the level of Garp and Shanks just by relying on physical skills and hockey. But if you eat devil fruit, it will be different. Sabo's combat effectiveness will get a rapid improvement. In addition, what he brought to Sabo was not ordinary devil fruit. It is a golden fruit. How powerful the golden fruit is can be seen from Tezzolo. If Sabo can eat it, that combat power is definitely a blast. Thinking of this, Lin Wuya said to Rayleigh, "Rayleigh, speed up." "Yes, teacher." Rayleigh nodded, raising the boat's speed to the fastest. Taste. The entire ship sailed swiftly along the sea level towards the base of the Revolutionary Army where Dorag was located, which is the island of white soil, Baldigo. Baldigo is located at the northeast corner of Grand Line, New World. It is an island ravaged by sand and dust. The location here is extremely hidden, even the eyes of Marine and the government can't detect it at all. It is precisely because of this consideration that Dorag set up the Revolutionary Army base here. At the moment, in the Revolutionary Army base, a middle-aged man wearing a navy blue robe with a print resembling slippers stood there. Monkey D. Dorag, the leader of the Revolutionary Army. A few people stood beside Dorag. On the left is a man with a strong upper body, his body is several meters high. Wearing a black hat, holding a book in his hands. Although he looks a little dull, everyone who knows him knows it. How terrible is this person's strength? Even if you look at the many pirates in New World, they are extremely powerful. Bartholomew Bear is his name. At the same time, he is also one of the current members of 7 Warlords of the Sea. And he also has an unknown identity, cadres of the Revolutionary Army. On the right side of Dorag is a man with a crown on his head, long silver blue hair, and even enchanting looks. Cadres of the Revolutionary Army, Ambrio Ivankov. In addition, beside the three of them, there was also a girl with orange hair. Kral is her name and one of the cadres of the Revolutionary Army in the future. At this moment, the 4 of them were quietly looking at the 2 who were fighting. Of these 2 people, one of them is an old man about 50 or 60 years old, a Murloc. Haku is his name. It was a teenager who fought against it. The teenager was about 13 years old, with golden curly hair and a black top hat on his head. There is a visible scar on his eye area. If Lin Wuya was here, he would definitely be able to recognize it at a glance. Sabo. At this moment, Sabo is fiercely discussing with Haku. Regardless of Sabo's young age, but his skills are quite good, even the master of Murloc karate, Haku, did not get any advantage from him for a while. This Sabo turned out to be stronger again. Haku, who is playing against Sabo, clearly feels the difference between Sabo and some time ago. It's not that the skill is much faster, and the strength is also stronger. Uncle Haku. Don't be stunned. When Haku marveled at Sabo's change, Sabo's voice rang behind him. I saw that Sabo appeared behind Haku at some point, holding a trouser belt in his hand. Huh? That's it? Haku frowned, and the pants immediately beneath him slipped down. Immediately, Haku's face blushed. Sabo of damn it. Seeing Haku's embarrassment, all the spectators burst into laughter. Haha. Haku was teased by Sabo again. This is the 5th time. It's embarrassing. Sabo threw the trouser belt to Haku, and immediately said with a smile, Uncle Haku, don't be fooled by me next time. The next time I absolutely beat you wailing. Haku said with an angry face. Haha, really? Then I'll wait and see. Sabo laughed. Sabo, this little guy is really a fighting genius. In the past few days, his strength has increased by a lot. At this growth rate, I am afraid that he will become the second in command of the Revolutionary Army as an adult. Ivankov stood aside, grinning. There is indeed a talent. Dorag nodded inconspicuously, and then looked at the bear beside him. Bear, go and practice with Sabo. Good. The bear nodded, and then walked out. When Sabo saw the bear approaching, there was a sense of war in his eyes. Is it the bear's turn this time? but I won't lose anybody. After all, Sabo rushed directly at the bear, and then hit the bear with a punch. The bear raised his hand to Sabo and dropped his palm. Boom. This palm directly knocked Sabo away. Sabo glided on the ground for tens of meters before stopping. As expected to be a bear, the strength is really strong. But I will never lose. When the words fell, Sabo rushed out again. Bang. Puff. The two fought fiercely together. However, with Sabo's strength, it is obviously difficult to defeat the bears. It may be possible when he grows up, but now he is only 13 years old, he is not the bear's opponent at all. The whole process was crushed and beaten by the bear. Bang. At this time, the bear fell again. It directly took Sabo into a ruin. Sabo. Seeing that Sabo was shot into the ruins by the bear, the expressions of Crawl and Haku suddenly changed. Don't worry. I can still bear this kind of offensive. Sabo's voice came from the ruins, and the two of them saw Sabo stand up from it. Immediately relieved. Fortunately it's okay. Standing up from the ruins, Sabo looked at some weapons in the ruins, and finally his eyes fell on a water pipe. Picking up the hose, Sabo weighed it in his hand. Immediately, he grinned. It's you. I have the water pipe in my hand. This is how Sabo feels right now. Obviously it is the first time to use this weapon, but it feels very convenient, as if I have used it since I was a child. It's weird. Sabo felt this too, frowning involuntarily. Obviously the first time I used it, how could it be so handy, and it would feel so familiar? Forget it. I don't want to, I will defeat the bear first. Walking out of the ruins, Sabo came to the opposite side of the bear. The straight water pipe is constantly turning in Sabo's hand, it is quite gorgeous. I picked up a weapon, it looks like Sabo is serious it is. Haku laughed. But I don't need a sword, but Sabo picked up a water pipe, which is a bit puzzling. Clarliu frowned and said in a puzzled way. In his opinion, the sword is better than the water pipe. Haha. Who knows? Maybe Sabo has his own ideas. But let alone, this water pipe matches Sabo well. Haku said. When he said so, Crawl also found out. It really matches. Go on. Bear. Sabo stopped for a while, and then rushed towards him quickly. As soon as the bear raised his palm, he blasted towards Sabo again. However, this time, the bear did not hit Sabo. Sabo leapt over the top of the bear's head in a flexible flight. Immediately afterwards, he rushed straight towards a figure. That is Dorag. Ah! I hit Dorag's eyes unexpectedly. Big Face Ivankov said with a surprised look. Sabo is really courageous. Sabo rushed in front of Dorag in an instant, raising the water pipe in his hand to attack Dorag in a fierce attack. As for Dorag, he dodges left and right. Look at the trick. Seeing that his attack was fruitless, Sabo jumped directly, holding the water pipe in both hands and banging towards Dorag. However, it was flexibly avoided by Dorag. Immediately afterwards, a palm knife fell on the back of Sabo's neck. Sabo's eyes turned black, and he fainted. Crawl looked at Sabo who was knocked out by Dorag, and he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This guy Sabo really is, he wants to attack Mr. Dorag. The courage is not small. Haku smiled and said, but he can face the cadres of the Revolutionary Army without the slightest timidity. Sabo has a very strong mind. Much better than the other little guys. Dorag handed Sabo to Haku, but he himself came to the coast of Baldigo Island. Looking at the sea in front of him, there is still no movement at all. Dorag frowned. Hasn't the teacher come yet? It has been a full year since I received the teacher's letter, and I haven't seen the teacher for a year and a half. If Dorag says he is not impatient, it is fake. Your teacher will definitely come. A girly voice rang behind him, and Ivankov walked behind Dorag. Dorag stared at the endless words in front of him, and said faintly, maybe. Withdrawing his gaze, Dorag turned around and left here. Also leaving with Ivankov. The coast once again returned to its former calm. Soon after Dorag left here, a ship appeared on the sea level. 4 people stood on the boat. An 80-year-old man, and a 70-year-old man. Plus a pair of young men and women. It is Lin Wuya's 4 masters and apprentices. On the boat, Lin Wuya looked at the dust-ravaged island in the distance with a flash of light in his eyes. It's finally here. That's right. This dust-ravaged island is the destination of Lin Wuya's trip. Baldage, the island of white soil. After spending nearly a day and a night on the road, I finally arrived here. After half an hour, the ship stopped on the shore of Bardigo. Immediately afterwards, the 4 Lin Wuya masters and apprentices got off the boat. Is this the place where Brother Dorage is? The environment is really bad. Enel glanced at the dusty island in front of him and couldn't help saying, no way. After all, Dorag is the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and the Revolutionary Army is the enemy of the world government. Naturally, its base has to be built in a relatively hidden place. Although the environment here is very poor, it is a good place as a base for the Revolutionary Army. Rayleigh knows how threatening the Revolutionary Army is to the government. It is an organization that will openly confront the world government. The purpose of the Revolutionary Army is to overthrow the rule of the world government. Therefore, the world government has always regarded the Revolutionary Army as a thorn in the eye and has always wanted to remove the Revolutionary Army. However, the Revolutionary Army is not weak, and there are many powerful cadres under its banner. Plus the action is also very secretive. For so many years, the government has not been able to do anything to the Revolutionary Army. On the contrary, many countries were overthrown by the Revolutionary Army. But if the base of the Revolutionary Army was built in a more conspicuous place, it would be different. With the means of the world government, we will definitely spare no effort to destroy the Revolutionary Army. For all the fact that Dorag established the base of the Revolutionary Army here, Rayleigh not only didn't feel surprised, but felt normal. Is that so? Rayleigh's words made Enel's eyes flash with enlightenment. Although I don't know what kind of organization this Revolutionary Army is, but since it is the enemy of the world government, the natural base needs to be built more secretly. Enel still understands this. After all, the more secretive, the harder it is for world government to discover. Future actions should be relatively safer. Along the coast, Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Robin, Enel went deep into Baldigo. But it didn't take long. In the calm sand and dust, dozens of figures were suddenly interrogated. Surrounded by a group of 4 Lin Wuya, who? One of them, similar to the man leading the group, looked at the 4 Lin Wuya warily and questioned. The dozens of people who surrounded Lin Wuya were all soldiers of the Revolutionary Army. Their task is to inspect Baldigo. Who are you? What are you doing here? The man who had previously questioned asked again. Look for your leader. Lin Wuya knew that these people were soldiers of the Revolutionary Army, so he didn't take action against these people, explaining his origin. Looking for Mr. Dorag. Hearing that someone came looking for Mr. Dorag, the man's heart couldn't help but become more vigilant. But he didn't think Lin Wuya looked like a bad person, so he asked, what do you think of our leader? Lin Wuya said faintly, you don't have to worry about this. You just need to report to your leader and say that his teacher is looking for him. The leader's teacher? Lin Wuya's words made the man's face suddenly shrouded in horror. Although he was just a small revolutionary soldier, he also knew something about the leader, Dorag. Among them, the thing that made him remember the most was the story of teacher Dorag. Rumor has it that the leader Dorag has a teacher outside. And it is said that the other party is an old gentleman. Reminiscent of what this person said earlier and the appearance of the other person, the look of astonishment on the man's face could not help but thicken. This old man wouldn't really be the teacher of the leader Dorag. Although he doesn't know if what the other party said is true or false, he must report to the leader. After all, if the other party is really the leader's teacher, that's different. They all know that this year and a half the leader has been waiting for his teachers to come, and it can even be said to be eager to see through. Wait a minute, I'll report it. According to this sentence, the man left here and returned to the Revolutionary Army base. Office. Dorag, who had just returned from the shore, was sitting down, preparing to discuss some things with Ivankov. Puff. At this time, the door was violently pushed open. Then a man rushed in. Dorage recognized the man's identity. Ada. Revolutionary soldier. The captain of the patrol team responsible for patrolling the surroundings of Baldigo. What's the matter? Ada. What's so flustered? Dorag asked, sitting there, toward Ada. Ivankov also looked at Ada. Yes, it's your teacher, the leader. Ada's words directly caused Dorag to stand up from his chair. At this moment, he doesn't have the composure as a leader, and some is just a look of horror. He asked Ada, what did you say? My teacher. Yes, yes. Ada nodded repeatedly. 4 people entered the island, and one of the old gentlemen claimed to be Mr. Dorag, your teacher. Where is the old man? Dorag asked excitedly. Dorag didn't question whether the man was false, because he knew it was definitely his teacher. After all, few people know that he has a teacher in the outside world. For so many years, in addition to talking to the people of their Revolutionary Army, he only talked to his father Garp. So, Who else can it be if it's not a teacher? It's on the shore of Baldage, Ada replied. Take me over. Yes, Chief. Ada nodded, and then took Dorag to there. It didn't take long, it was only 10 minutes. Ivankov was also with him. Ivankov would also like to meet Dorag's teacher. After all, in the past few years, his deeds have been spread all over the world. The people who wounded the government's CP9 were killed in the first half of the Grand Line, slaughtered celestial dragons at Sabo archipelago, and battled with 1 enemy and 3 naval headquarters with 3 admiral. Then it was reported that he defeated Mahawk, the world's #1 swordsman with swordsmanship, in the New World. Among them, no matter which one is a sensation in the world. Let alone 5 pieces. Naturally, Ivankov is also very interested in this teacher of Dorag. Now that I heard Ida say that Doragi's teacher came here, Ivankov naturally wanted to see him. After Dorag came here, he looked at Lin Wuya. His face instantly became excited. Immediately afterwards, he strode directly in front of Lin Wuya and knelt down on one knee. Disciple Dorag, see the teacher. Get up. Lin Wuya said with a smile. Yes, teacher. Dorag nodded, and then stood up. The dozens of soldiers of the Revolutionary Army who surrounded Lin Wuya and others all had a touch of horror in their eyes. The reason why they surrounded Lin Wuya and them was because they were afraid that the other party would lie. Because the Revolutionary Army base is here, if it is known to outsiders, it will be troublesome. After all, the world government has always regarded their Revolutionary Army as a thorn in the eye and wants to remove their Revolutionary Army. But they didn't expect that this old gentleman was really the teacher of the leader Dorag. Immediately these people knelt towards Doradzi. Chief. Please punish us. It's okay. You are also out of the protection of the base, don't blame you. Dorag towards these humanities, thank you, Chief. After speaking, these people stood up from the ground. Dorag said to them, you go to other places to patrol. Yes, Chief. Immediately, these people were scattered. The same is true for Ada. After Ada and other patrols left, there were only 4 people left here. Dorag, Ivankov, and Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Enel, and Robin. Dorage looked at Lin Wuya with excitement in his eyes. Teacher, you are finally here. After packing up his excitement, Dorag said to Lin Wuya, Teacher, the sand is too windy here, I will take you to the base. Yeah. Lin Wuya nodded. The 5 masters and apprentices followed the wind and sand all the way into Baldage, and finally came to the Revolutionary Army base. This is a base similar to a cave. The area is not small. But it's not very big, it looks like a group of hills from a distance. If you don't even look at it carefully, you won't find it here. Teacher. Here it is. Coming to the entrance of the base, Dorag walked towards Lin Wuya, and then led Lin Wuya into the base. Dorag. Is he? Haku came over, glanced at Lin Wuya, and then asked Dora Squares. My teacher. Dorag laughed. Hearing that, Haku's eyes suddenly flashed a touch of shock. About Dorag's teacher, Haku naturally knows, and it can even be said to be like a revelation. Haku has always wanted to see him. Unexpectedly, now they came to their Revolutionary Army base. And right in front of him, Haku was stunned. Immediately afterwards, he held his fist slightly towards Lin Wuya. In the Haku of the Revolutionary Army, meet the old man. Don't be so polite. Lin Wuya smiled faintly. Teacher. Let's go inside, Dorag said to Lin Wuya. Yeah. Lin Wuya nodded and followed Dorag into the base. Unlike the dust flying outside the Revolutionary Army base, the inside of the base is a different scene. Office area, teaching area, weapon room, storage room. Everything. It can't be said to be luxurious, but the overall layout is quite good. The most important thing is that after entering the inside, the outside sound is basically inaudible. Quite quiet. Obviously, Dorag installed soundproofing facilities when building this base. Think about it, this kind of sand-ravaged island, if it is not soundproof, I am afraid that it will not sleep well at night. After all, the sound of the wind and sand is not small. Just like howling a wolf. After entering the base, Lin Wuya came to a hall. It seems that it should be the place where the Revolutionary Army is discussing matters. This can be seen from the internal layout, a round table. Some chairs are placed in an orderly manner around the round table. At a glance, it is used for meetings. After entering the hall, the 5 masters and apprentices sat down. Then there was a conversation. This chat is 3 hours. Ivankov and Haku were also here. They didn't interrupt during the whole process, quietly listening to the conversation between Dorag and Lin Wuya. Although they are all cadres of the Revolutionary Army, compared with the relationship between the master and the apprentice Dorag and Lin Wuya, they are outsiders after all. During the conversation between Dorag and Lin Wuya, the two of them also looked at Lin Wuya. After seeing some of Lin Wuya's deeds from the newspaper earlier, Haku and Ivankov had also constructed Lin Wuya in their minds. In their opinion, if they can kill 40,000 pirates in 6 hours, and also defeated Marine and Admiral and fled, the teacher of Dorag should be more fierce. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be such an approachable old gentleman. If you didn't know in advance, who would have thought that such an approachable old gentleman would be the ruthless person who killed him on the Grand Line? At this time, Lin Wuya asked Dorag, "That's right. Dorag, do you have a little guy named Sabo here?" I asked this because Lin Wuya wanted to confirm whether Sabo was here. After all, he didn't know if his appearance would change Sabo's experience. If not, then Sabo should be here. And Dorag, as the leader of the Revolutionary Army, definitely knows Sabo. Yes. Dorag nodded. About a year ago, I saved a little guy when I went to East Blue. The little guy was called Sabo, and I brought him here. Hearing what Dorag said, Lin Wuya's heart suddenly stirred up. Sabo is really here. It seems that his appearance has not changed Sabo's experience. Sabo is still attacked by the Celestial Dragon's fleet, and then rescued by Dorag. "Teacher, do you know Sabo?" Dorag asked Lin Wuya. "Yeah." Lin Wuya nodded. "After going down the mountain, I stayed in East Blue for my teacher, and I met Sabo during that time. In addition, your son Luffy was also with Sabo at the time. And Ace. At that time, those 3 little guys came to me if they were okay." For Ace, Lin Wuya thinks Dorag should also know. After all, Luffy and Ace have always been together when they were young. And Luffy is the son of Dorag, the only son. Even though Dorag would not directly contact Luffy because of his status as the leader of the Revolutionary Army. But I would definitely look at Luffy secretly when I returned to East Blue. Naturally, I also know Ace. Even if Dorag doesn't know that Ace is Roger's son, he must know Ace's existence. That's it. Dorag nodded clearly. Lin Wuya was right, Dorag knew Ace. There is just one thing Duo Lager didn't expect, that is, Lin Wuya actually knows the 3 little guys Luffy, Ace, and Sabo. Right. Where is that little guy Sabo now? Lin Wuya asked Dorag. Now that I know that Sabo is here, Lin Wuya naturally wants to meet Sabo. After all, he hasn't seen Sabo in 2 years. At this time Sabo should be training ground. Dorag said. After a pause, he said again, but Sabo has lost his memory. Apart from remembering his name, he can't remember the past. So, Sabo may not recognize you, teacher. Lin Wuya smiled and said, "It's okay, you can bring him here. As for the amnesia, I have a solution." Sabo's memory loss, Lin Wuya naturally knew about this. But he knew that Sabo's memory loss was not that serious. This can be seen from the original work. Sabo saw Ace's newspaper to restore his memory. Just give Sabo a little stimulation to restore his memory. What's more, he still carries a system with him, so he's afraid that he won't be able to restore Sabo's memory. Therefore, even if Sabo can't remember him, Lin Wuya can restore Sabo's memory by systematic means. Good. Du Rager nodded, and then said to Haku, "Mr. Haku, go call Sabo." Okay. Haku nodded, then got up and left here. It didn't take long before Haku came back. There was a 13-year-old boy who followed him. The boy has golden curly hair and a visible scar on the corner of his eye. Even though it has changed from what he looked like 2 years ago, he has grown a lot taller. But Lin Wuya recognized him at a glance, Sabo. After Sabo was brought here by Haku, he looked at Dorag who was sitting in the chair. "Mr. Dorag, what can I do for you?" "I am not looking for you, he is looking for you." Dorag turned his gaze to Lin Wuya. Upon hearing this, Sabo turned his head and looked at Lin Wuya. The next moment, his brows suddenly frowned. "Are you?" Obviously, Sabo is still a bit familiar with Lin Wuya, but because he has lost his memory, he can't remember it temporarily. "Don't remember me?" Lin Wuya asked with a smile at Sabo. Sabo looked at Lin Wuya carefully, then shook his head. "There is a familiar feeling, but I still don't remember." "Don't remember?" Lin Wuya frowned, and immediately said to Sabo, "Then do you remember the grandfather in East Blue? When I was with Sabo, Sabo kept calling him from Grandpa." So Lin Wuya felt that using this might arouse Sabo's memory. Grandpa of East Blue? Sabo thought about it carefully, then shook his head at Lin Wuya again. "I still don't remember." Don't remember this. Lin Wuya did not expect that Sabo could not remember him with this. Simply, he asked the system. System. Is there a way to restore Sabo's memory? Yes. The systematic answer made Lin Wuya happy. Immediately, he asked towards the system. What way? The reason Sabo lost his memory was because the brain was oscillated, and the blood clots blocked the veins of memory. So, just remove those blood stasis and it's fine. The system replied. Is that so? Lin Wuya nodded clearly, then looked at Sabo. Come here. Sabo hesitated, but walked to Lin Wuya anyway. Putting his hand on the back of Sabo's head, Lin Wuya perceives Sabo's brain by seeing and hearing. Soon, he found that part of the veins blocked by congestion. Unleash the gravity fruit. Lin Wuya called out a part of gravity to act on the congested blood, using gravity to clear the congested blood one by one. The whole process did not last long, it was completed in just 10 seconds. After removing the congestion, Lin Wuya looked at Sabo again, smiled and asked, Do you remember me now? The congestion was cleared, and the lost memory returned to Sabo's mind. He looked at Lin Wuya, at a certain moment, when the familiar face in memory and Lin Wuya's face overlapped perfectly. Sabo's face was instantly pleased. You are Grandpa? It seems that you remember me. Lin Wuya smiled faintly. Aside, Haku and Ivankov were dumbfounded. You must know that they have used many methods to stimulate Sabo's memory in the past, but they have not been successful. Lin Wuya just put his hand on the back of Sabo's head, and the whole process took only 10 seconds. It turned Sabo back into his memory. This is too amazing. Old man, how did you do it? The shocked Haku asked Lin Wuya. The reason Sabo lost his memory was because the brain was oscillated, and the blood clots blocked the veins of memory. So, just remove those blood stasis and it's fine. Lin Wuya turned towards Haku. Lin Wuya learned these from the system. If it were not for the system, Lin Wuya would not know that Sabo lost his memory because of this. That's it. Haku nodded clearly, and then asked, So, old man, you just put your hand on the back of Sabo's head to help Sabo clear the blood from his mind. Yes. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. Awesome. Haku slapped his lips. Just a swipe is the key to knowing that Sabo lost his memory, and he successfully helped Sabo restore your memory. For Lin Wuya's method, Haku is considered to be convinced. He thought that Lin Wuya was just powerful, but he didn't expect to be so powerful in other ways. Grandpa. Why are you here? Sabo asked Lin Wuya with a look of excitement. Lin Wuya wants to see Sabo. Sabo is not the same. He even agreed with Ace and Luffy that he would go to sea to find Lin Wuya when he was 17 years old. But something happened to him later. Tired of his own country and wanting to find freedom, Sabo was attacked by the Celestial Dragon's fleet, and was rescued by Dorag and came here. This is the failure to realize the agreement with Ace and Luffy. However, although the agreement has not been fulfilled, Sabo's heart has not changed, and he still wants to go to sea to find Lin Wuya. Because of Dorag. Lin Wuya smiled. Because of Mr. Dorag. Sabo frowned. Yeah. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. Dorag is my disciple. Nani? Sabo was startled. He turned his head and glanced at Dorag, who was sitting in the chair. Mr. Dorag is a disciple of the grandfather, isn't it? He had never heard Mr. Dorag talk about this matter before. Stop talking about this. Talk about Luffy and Ace. Are those two boys okay after I leave? Lin Wuya asked Sabo. They. Sabo grinned and said, Since the two of them saw your report from Grandpa in the newspaper, Tenten yelled and waited for you to go to sea to find Grandpa when they grew up. Of course, me too. Later, the three of us made an agreement. When we were 17, we would go out to sea to find you, Grandpa. Hearing what Sabo said, a smile appeared on Lin Wuya's face. When I was 17, I went to sea to find him. It seems that Ace and Luffy also want to see him. After chatting with Sabo for a while, Lin Wuya reached into his arms and took out a golden fruit. When we meet this time, Grandpa, I have nothing to give you, so I will give you this fruit. This is devil fruit. For Lin Wuya to bring out this golden fruit, Sabo may not know it. But Ivankov and Haku recognized them. Devil fruit. Known as the secret treasure of the sea, you can get powerful power with just one bite. They couldn't believe that Lin Wuya actually gave a devil fruit to Sabo. This is not a small gift, it's a big gift. We must know that in the outside world, every devil fruit starts with tens of millions of Baileys. Some Logia's devil fruits even reach hundreds of millions or even billions of Baileys. Even spending money may not be able to buy devil fruit. Because this thing has a price but no market. Eat one and one less. It's unbelievable that such a valuable thing was given to Sabo by Lin Wuya as a gift. Does the teacher give Sabo the golden fruit? Robin looked at the fruit Lin Wuya took out and smiled faintly. She naturally recognized this fruit, golden fruit. The supplement that the teacher got from Tezzolo. A very powerful fruit. Robin originally thought that the teacher got the fruit for another purpose, but he didn't expect it to be given to the little guy Sabo. Robin recognizes devil fruit in Lin Wuya's hands. Enel and Rayleigh also recognize them, golden fruit. Given the golden fruit to Sabo, it seems that the teacher values this little guy very much. Rayleigh secretly said inwardly, the power of golden fruits is obvious to all. It is because of the golden fruit that Tezzolo has obtained a strong power. That power can even compete with Marine Admiral. Such a powerful devil fruit, if you change it to other people, it is estimated that it will be kept as a treasure. However, the teacher actually gave it to Sabo. Based on this alone, we can see how important the teacher is to this boy named Sabo. However, Rayleigh, Enel, and Robin recognized this devil fruit, but Sabo did not. He didn't even know what devil fruit was. Taking the golden fruit from Lin Wuya's hand, Sabo glanced curiously. Golden. And there are spiral lines on the surface. What is this stuff? Seeing no reason, he asked Lin Wuya towards Lin Wuya, Grandpa. What kind of fruit is this? It looks so strange. You know it after you eat it. Lin Wuya smiled. With Sabo's current knowledge, even if he tells him, Sabo certainly may not know. After all, devil fruit is very rare. Even some adults may not know the existence of devil fruit. So, it's better to let Sabo eat it directly. After eating, Sabo knows what the fruit is and what kind of power it has. Do you know after eating it? Sabo frowned, then took a bite at the golden fruit. As soon as he went down, Sabo's face changed. Wow. So bitter. Why is this stuff so unpalatable? I wanted to vomit, but Lin Wuya stopped it. Don't spit it out, swallow it. Enduring the bitterness, Sabo swallowed it. Immediately afterwards, his face collapsed. Wow. It's terrible. Suffering is a bit bitter, but the power can be strong. Lin Wuya smiled. Powerful? Sabo frowned, and immediately asked Lin Wuya, does this fruit have any special abilities? Yes. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded, and then said to Sabo, now try to use your mind to move it. Oh, good. Sabo was stunned, then nodded immediately, followed by a thought. Suddenly, a strand of golden gold condensed from the palm of his hand. The sudden rush of gold made Sabo stunned. Gold came out of his hand unexpectedly. However, the fact that Sabo doesn't know does not mean that others don't know. Haku and Ivankov knew it. Seeing the gold pouring out of Sabo's palm, there was a shock in their eyes. This is a golden fruit. They know the golden fruit, the devil fruit eaten by Tezzolo, the owner of the Grand Desolo. It's just that what both of them don't understand is how this fruit got into Lin Wuya's hands. Wasn't it eaten by Tezzolo? Similarly, Dorage also noticed. He asked Lin Wuya, teacher, is this the golden fruit that Tezzolo ate? Yes. Lin Wuya nodded. When I entered New World before, I went to Desolo and this fruit was also obtained from Tezzolo. Really? Hearing this, Dorage's eyes suddenly condensed. He had previously guessed that the devil fruit the teacher gave to Sabo was the golden fruit of Tezzolo. Unexpectedly, it really is. As for devil fruit, Dorag also knows that he himself is demon fruit power. Once devil fruit is eaten, unless the owner dies, its ability will be attached to its owner. Since the teacher said that he got it from Tezzolo, it also means that the guy Tezzolo is dead. As for how to die, Dorag probably guessed it, either by the teacher or by Rayleigh, Enel, or Robin. But Dorag didn't sympathize with Tezzolo either. He knows what a teacher is like. As long as others don't provoke him, the teacher will basically not take action against him. Since Tezzolo was killed by the teacher, then Tezzolo must have provoked the teacher. Ivankov and Haku's expressions were also startled. This golden fruit turned out to be obtained by Lin Wuya by killing Tezzolo. In front of Lin Wuya, Sabo looked at the gold pouring out of his hand and asked him, Grandpa, what's going on? How can gold be pouring out of my hand? Lin Wuya explained. This is the power of the fruit you eat. It is a devil fruit called golden fruit. The person who eats it has a continuous flow of body energy to make gold. It can be used to kill the enemy, and it can also be used to defend. Hearing what Lin Wuya said, Sabo's eyes flashed with shock. It can be used to kill the enemy, or it can be used to defend. So strong. I will try. A wave of one hand. Suddenly, a stream of fluid gold condensed from Sabo's hands. Form a sharp spear. Immediately afterwards, Sabo was the force that spurred the golden fruit, creating a thick golden shield in front of him. Awesome. Looking at the golden spear and golden shield in front of him, Sabo's shocked mouth as the long boss. It's really like what the old man said, it can be used for offense and defense. It seemed that he was attracted by the power of the golden fruit, and then Sabo continuously activated the power of the golden fruit. It's a joy to play. The eyes of Haku and Ivankov who are watching are red. This is golden fruit. It was actually given to Sabo by Lin Wuya. Lin Wuya is kind to Sabo too. A devil fruit worth hundreds of millions, even billions of Baileys, is given away. Haku and Ivankov are sour.